Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue watching 90 Day Fiancé the other way. Let's watch.
I want to go like in the holy water. Just I want to show you just around and then I want to show you and then we can go my town like say a celebration.
Do you mind if you give me the baby holder maybe?
Yeah, no, it's fine. Just when you
It's
go,
so many people like.
I know we can try. Just if you're crowded, we can come back.
All right, I'm not sure, but Ari or Ari? I hear both, but for her, she has exhibited anxiety symptoms in the past. We don't know what her inner experience is or how frequent, even if she does have anxiety. But I'm seeing hints of anxiety. When people have heightened anxiety physiologically, trauma-related, whatever, crowds can be a point of provocation of the anxiety. And so I don't know if that's what's happening. She doesn't know what's happening. I haven't shown all the clips, but frequently there will be a ceremony or a tradition, and she seems to be heading into it without knowing what's happening. And one, that's unfair. Unless someone's just like totally open and unanxious and they like to be surprised. I don't think Ariela is one of those people. Is it Ariela? I hear both. Ariela. I want to say Ariela, but I hear them say Ari. Anyway, and whenever I hear Ari, I think of Game of Thrones, where Arya was Ari for a while she was acting like a boy going to the wall, the Night's Watch, if you remember, in book 2. Anyway, so given that she's anxious and given that during these ceremonies and traditions she isn't appreciative of the surprise, I don't understand why the two of them don't sit down. Okay, it's going to look like this. This is what, look up a YouTube video. This is what it looks like, if such exists. Just so, one, she would know what she's heading into, because she's not always a fully enthusiastic participant. In fact, I don't think she ever is. And also, given that I think she's anxious, the preparation is very important for people. Some of y'all might be like this, that when you have a party that you're going to or something along those lines, you might even visit or have a compulsion to visit the location prior to even going in, because you just want to get a lay of the land, and unknowns will freak you out. Crowds can also freak you out. And so I worry, and I don't know, one, if she identifies as an anxious person. A lot of anxious people, they don't even know they're anxious. They just think, well, I'm rational. Of course crowds freak me out. Of course this and that freaks me out, because those things are inherently scary. And what anxious people need to know is that it's okay that you're anxious. It's okay that you have fear, but it's not inherently fear-provoking. It's fear-provoking to you and many others like you, but it's not inherently fear-provoking. Jumping out of a plane for 99% of people is fear-provoking. Going into a crowd, for some people, especially those familiar with what's going on, like I think Biniyam is, it's not only not fear-provoking, but it's actually like liberating. Some people really like that. So what anxious people need to know is that I am an anxious person. I need to accept that. I need to own that. I need to know that. That doesn't mean your feelings are invalid. It's the opposite. Your feelings are 100% valid. But you have to start, because what happens, and we've seen it before with this couple, that instead of her saying, honey, I'm an anxious person, so I'm sorry, but we're going to have to account for my anxiety as we head into this. That's not what happens. What happens is he doesn't really understand anxiety, I don't think, or doesn't know she's anxious. And he's like, everything will be okay. Because to him, it's okay. To him, it's like, why are you resisting? You're just resisting because you're stubborn. I think that's what he thinks. And so as they move into things, he will kind of push her in, and she feels pushed in. And then that does not do wonders for one's anxiety when you're being pushed into something you're already scared of. So I don't know, maybe nothing will happen, but let's watch.
It's loud. It's very loud.
This is not loud.
Right. Regardless of anxiety or not, she is like, wow, she doesn't want to do this. She's not into it. It's not her tradition. For him, he grew up doing this. It's like with me and a Christmas tree. I grew up with a Christmas tree. I always have a Christmas tree. The Christmas tree, I see it. It just provokes all these feelings in me. I love Christmas music. I'm one of those people that will listen to Christmas music before Thanksgiving. I apologize. I know a lot of you hate me for that reason now, but I just love all the things. I grew up with all of that American Christmas culture and associate all those things with so many fun, happy, warm family memories. And so for Biniyam, this event he's probably been going to since he was born. And so for him, crowd, loud music, people, this is just so great. They're celebrating the baptism of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ? Should I say Jesus or Christ? Anyway, so for her, she is not. She's like, it's just an annoying crowd. I don't associate anything positive with this. I don't like crowds, maybe. And so she's like, wow, it's really loud. And then he says, no, it's not loud. All right, that's not a good start. It's like, how about you shepherd your wife into a new ceremony with a little bit more sensitivity of like, okay, well, let's stop for a second. Do you want some earplugs? Is it too loud for you? Do you not want to proceed? There's no desperation. You don't have to run into this. It's not like that. You have to run in to save someone's life. So I wish he would kind of slow down for her sake.
There's a lot of people here, and there's open sun, and the speakers are really loud. The baby is only 1 month old. If a lot of water gets on, I'll be really upset.
It's fine. The baby just...
Because, the baby's really sensitive. I mean, I'm just worried that people will hit him or something.
Yeah, so her feelings are totally valid. Her feelings are also cultural, I will say, that in the United States, we have baby safety down how do I say it? We have baby safety culture and practices that go way beyond the vast majority of people on the planet right now, and for sure the vast majority of people on the planet 50 years ago and before that. We have car seats, we have helmets, we have ear protection, we have water, we have different ways of bathing. You have a little thing so that they don't drown. You have special soaps, you have special sleeping arrangements so you don't have SIDS. There's you have disinfectants. It's just a lot of stuff. Now, it's fine. If you want to save your child from terrible things, then by all means do that, of course. But the rest of the world just isn't into it, and the American judgment of that is. Those people are neglectful. If you see someone driving down the street with a baby that isn't in a proper car seat, there are people who will literally call the police, and maybe it even is a crime. I don't know. Maybe it should be a crime. I don't know. The vast majority of people around the world, they don't do that. Now, is that wrong or right? I don't know the answer to that question, because I feel like it's right to have a car seat. I feel like it's right to put those headphones. Now, I didn't grow up that way. I didn't grow up with car seats. In the 70s, you didn't have, you had car seats, but the car seat that we had in my family was like this. It was basically just to keep the child in place. But I'm sure that the car seat, because it was metal, and I'm pretty sure that car seat added to the danger during a crash than take, because I'm pretty sure if you crashed, part of it would have just jabbed the child. But so I didn't grow up with that, but I've certainly lived with. I feel like the baby safety movement began in the 80s, and it's in absolute full swing right now. So it's good. I've absorbed that culture, but I have to recognize that the rest of the world isn't like that. Is there something wrong with them? No. It's just a matter of pros and cons, right? That. There's some cons to over safety. It's inconvenient. It's expensive. A lot of places around the world, they can't afford, there are car seats that you're supposed to have for different ages. And so by the time the child is 9 years old, you could go through a dozen different car seats sometimes, especially if you don't like one, or one comes out that's better or something. Anyway, or you have multiple cars. Point is that that's expensive, and for some people, one, there's just no way they could afford that, and two, they might not even have access to those kinds of products. I don't know. So I think that for Ariela, she is absolutely representing her culture, her sense of what's safe, her sense of what you're supposed to do, what a good parent does. If you have a child that is at a super loud event in today's world and you don't put ear protection because their ears are more sensitive, and you can cause, permanent, and it'll never, come back, hearing damage. I don't know what the exact science is on that. I'm not up to date. But if you don't do that as a parent, in our culture, you have failed. I don't know about that specific thing, but, car seats, disinfectant, other kinds of safety measures that people take, that I will say often involve buying a product. So we just have to remember we're a very materialistic society. But and sometimes we are, just a side note, we will be too focused on safety instead of overall what's holistically best for a child. For example, I've talked about in a previous video how they were using the stroller in Ethiopia, and it was really hard because the ground was so uneven. And we will not, in my culture, tend to use slings. Now, a lot of people will, but and it's unclear what exactly is the best thing to do for every child. Every kid's different, blah, blah, blah. But, having a child right here next to you where they can hear your heartbeat, they can feel your warmth, they can hear your voice, they can look up at you right away, as opposed to having a child far away in a stroller and maybe facing forward, they can't even see you, is, I'm just going to say that a sling, if you can manage it, depending, is probably better for not only attachment reason and comfort reasons for the child, and for you for that matter, but also it's a heck of a lot cheaper and a lot more convenient because, you don't have this giant contraption and you're trying to, wheel it through potholes and stuff. Strollers are fine. I'm not saying, but I'm saying that we can sometimes be so focused on safety that we sacrifice things that are important for children. Like, another example is helicopter parenting, where one is overprotective and over anxious of anything possibly that would happen to a child. And that's great. That's a pro, you help to have the child be safe and not hurt themselves or, break a leg or go through some kind of trauma regarding that. That's a plus. But the downside is the child doesn't have freedom. The child can't explore. Curiosity is punished to some extent or not allowed. They feel like the world is a terrible, terrible, scary, scary place, which is not the message you want to give to children. You want to tell them that there are scary things and you want to help them to be safe and to protect themselves, but you don't want to have this notion that danger is around every single corner, because when you have that kind of schema, it will severely stunt one's development, and you can become extremely dependent as an adult on your parents. So you could be 35 and still feel like, I'm not capable of doing anything in the world because the world is a terrifying, terrifying place. Anyway, so for the two of them, they're heading in this situation. She's like, wow, it's a crowd, it's loud. Are we going to bump? It looks like people are it's like a mosh pit kind of thing. It feels like I don't want people banging into my child. That's a good thing. Absolutely. Now, for Biniyam, I'm guessing, for how he was raised or how people typically act, and maybe there's a gender thing there as well, that it's like, the kid will be okay. Kid might be bonked around, but I'll do my best, and I don't want the kid to be bonked around, but we'll be okay. Maybe we might press up against someone, but it's fine, because for me, in all of my equations and algorithms, this event is so important to me. This event is so important and I really want you to enjoy it. I want my baby to be there. that I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit. I'm not dying to have my child get bumped around, but this is such a big deal. So, but they never have that conversation. They ever on the show, couples fail to recognize what's happening for me right now, fail to recognize cultural differences around parenting, fail to talk about it. And then in the moment, there's all this tension and a fight will ensue. I don't know if that'll happen, but it's kind of looking like it's headed in that direction. But who knows? Maybe they'll pull out of the nosedive.
We can try. Just if you crowded, I will give you to use the baby. Come on.
Okay, good. So he said, look, if it gets too hairy, I'll give you the baby. And she's like, oh, okay. I don't know why they don't just start with that, because I'm guessing that would help her to feel a little bit calmer.
Don't let him get too wet, baby.
No,
Please.
Okay, so they're spraying the crowd with water. I'm guessing it's to be like a baptism, because this is their celebration of Jesus's baptism. She's like, don't let the child get too wet. And he's like, everything will be fine. And he kisses her. Okay, so the kiss is good. That's a good connection. But that's not a functional conversation. She doesn't want to be there. She is more safety conscious given her culture, maybe given her personality, maybe given her anxiety. He's much less so. And they've up to date not had detailed conversations on camera. Maybe they have off camera. We have to acknowledge that we have no idea what's going on off of camera. But they haven't exhibited evidence that they've had conversations. So I'm worried that this priest is going to splash the two of them with all this water. The baby's going to get all wet. She's going to be like, what is happening? I don't like this. Is my child going to drown? Because it's conceivable. It's not likely, but it's not something you would want to risk if you don't care about the pros. Whereas for him, he's like, this is a big deal. I mean, he might literally believe that by going here and by getting the water, that it would actually potentially save the child's eternal soul. We have to, and he's talked about stuff like that. So this isn't just some random event. Like he could believe that this is so let's think about that for him, he thinks it is much more important to risk a few discomforts or even possible harm to the child to gain the benefit of eternal life, life in heaven. And this is getting that ball rolling. Whereas for her, she's just like, this is just one big annoyance, right? So the fact that they don't have that conversation, or when they do, they don't really respect each other, is a theme in their relationship conflict. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.